Hey guys, Xana here, and today what I'm going to show you is how to install any generic Linux operating system. Now, before we get started, you'll need to do a couple of things. Number one, download an ISO burning program. I personally recommend ImageBurn. There's a version of it on my Windows Live SkyDrive, which I will put a link to in the description box. It's two versions behind the most up-to-date version, but it's generally the same, so no need to update. Second, you'll need a blank DVD-R. I recommend blank DVD-Rs because some of the Linux operating systems come in CD versions and DVD versions. The difference is the DVD version has all the codecs, Flash, Java, name it, while the CD version does not. Let's see, and you will need to partition your hard drive however you see fit, and I will show that in this video as well. Let's see, you personally, watching this video, can choose any Linux operating system you choose. This is generically and generally how you install them. I'll be switching to my camera after I partition this hard drive. So, first off, download your Linux operating system. I do not care what it is, and make sure you save it where you know it is. Second, you go to ImageBurn, which I already have up. You go to write image file to disk. Then, what you do, you select your file and burn it to your blank DVD at ×4 speed. Yes, ×4 speed. That is what I recommend. I'm not sure what else anybody else recommends. If you know speed better, let me know in a comment. Next, what you're going to do is partition your hard drive. Now, this is easier than it looks. All you do, go to your computer and go to manage. This video is not lagging. I'm just simply, kind of behind. Go to disk management. Loading. Okay. And here it is. Up here is a worded version of how many partitions you have and how much memory it is. Down here is a picture description, I'd like to call it, of partitions you have. Now, be aware of which partitions you do not want to delete. C drive is obviously your main operating system and your main partition. Do not delete this. Any other partition, generally anything that's 10 or 15 gigabytes or less or more, is probably your recovery partition. Do not delete that as well. It will be unnamed, and yet at the same time it's 10 gigabytes. Any other partition you have on there is probably for RAM purposes, hibernation purposes, or if you installed any other Linux operating system on here as well. This happens to be a Splashtop web browser, which I'm going to delete because it no longer has any meaning to me. Let's see, I can't delete this for whatever reason, but oh well. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to right-click on your C drive. We're going to shrink the volume. Waiting. Takes a minute. Loading, loading, loading. Everybody loves loading. Loading, loading, loading. Oh, everybody loves a loading. Look do 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 do. Look do 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 do. Still loading. I'm not gonna pause it because I forgot the command for pausing for Cam Studio. Oh my god, come on, stupid. Okay, there we go. Now, remember, this is all in megabytes. It's not kilobytes or gigabytes, so this may look harder than it is, but it's actually pretty simple if you understand megabytes and gigabytes. Now, what I personally recommend is not exactly half of what your hard drive is, maybe like a fourth of what your hard drive is, so sorry about that, guys. So, we're back. I had a phone call. Anyway, basically what you do is that you right-click, you go to Shrink Partition, It's gonna take a minute, so let me just pause this really quickly. Don't remember the control. And then basically what you do is that you don't exactly shrink it to half, but I suggest shrinking it to 1/4. Not like 50 gigabytes or anything like that. Maybe around 120. Remember, this is in megabytes, so you gotta remember what the hell you're doing. Let's see. Let's see. Total size after I shrink will be 170. Yeah, this is about right. And then you press shrink. And then once you do that, it will come up any second now with a 120 something gigabyte of space. Any second now. Any second, come on. Do. And there it goes. 117. Yep. And now, basically, you just leave that like it is. If you recognize a 118 partition on your hard drive, that is the space you want to install your Linux operating system on. So, let me just switch down to my camera now, and I'll show you the steps of installing Linux. Alright guys, Xana back. Let's see, first off let me grab my mouse, that way I don't have to reach around the camera. As you see, I have the America theme on my Windows 7. Alright, so basically after you have everything set and ready, all you do now is shut down your computer. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse or not. There it is, kinda. Alright. Go all the way down to start, and then we're gonna go to restart. Oh, and before I forget, make sure you put in your Linux CD now, so it can boot off the CD. And now hit restart. There we go. Yeah, if my camera is in a static position, it should be able to just adjust just fine. Maybe if I move it back a little bit. Focus, dummy. Bio, there we go. Alright, there we go, automatic boot. Let's see. Start Linux Mint, regular. Now, in any Linux operating system except for Arch, because it's more advanced, this is basically the generic installation. No, this is that was the basic menu you will see in every Linux installation if you choose to press a key and not let it boot automatically. So now what it's going to do is that it's going to boot into a live CD mode. Alright. Waiting. Hopefully my camera doesn't die like last time. If I pause the video, I bet you anything it's just gonna boot. So I'm just going to wait. I made a previous video of this, but the last video I made of this was about Kubuntu, but for whatever reason, every time I download the updates, it stops at 41% and it won't let me go any further. So I had no choice but to switch back to Linux Mint Regular Edition. I could have done KDE, but I had a feeling that was also causing my hard drive to fail, but I highly doubt that now. I think it was just my stupid Hitachi hard drive. You know what? I'm going to turn off my big light since my laptop is a light. And because I'm getting sweaty hot here. I hate getting hot and sweaty. And I just got out of the shower. Let's see. Now I'm just still waiting. There it goes.
Now, for KDE specifically, this is what's called a splash screen. The screen that's showing pictures of a hard drive, and soon enough it's going to show a picture of a network and then the KDE logo. Since this is a live distribution right now, it's going to take 2 times slower than that. So just give it a moment. Yep. And after that, it should load. Now the thing is about KDE versus GNOME is that they're two completely different desktop environments, but since they're both Linux, they both work generally the same way. So now, here is the typical live CD installation screen. Now, you have a couple of options to do here. If you are really unsure of if you want to install Linux or not, you can test drive it out from the CD without it touching your computer. But if you know what you're doing and if you want to install Linux, you press install Linux. But here's the thing, what I recommend the most. First off, connect to your Wi-Fi. That way it can download updates as it's installing. Let's see. And if your Wi-Fi doesn't show up immediately, press more connections and then your Wi-Fi should be there. Double click and turn the camera away so I can type in the password. Alright, now it's connecting. Letting the camera focus, there we go. Alright, now that's connected. Right click, open. I did right click and open because, you know, just in case. I just like doing that. Alright, and now we are getting to the good stuff. The stuff that's really important. Continue. Yes, 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 yes. I'm going to lay on the floor because it's more comfortable for me. Loading. Alright, so now here is what happens, or here's typically what happens for most beginner users that are installing anything but Ubuntu and Linux Mint for the first time. What they do is that they read the selection and they think guided partition is gonna automatically set it so it's going to automatically divide your hard drive and install it on that. That's where I fucked up the first couple of times installing Linux when I was very, 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 very new to it. So, for all those that wish to keep their Windows partition and access it from Linux, do not use guided partition. I repeat, do not use guided partition. What you want to do is click manual partition. It's right under guided. Click continue. Now, if you know your partitions by heart, just follow the memory sizes and select them. Now, you remember that partition we created back in Windows from the partition creator? What you want to do is look for the partition that generally says free space. Or in many cases, if it does not show free space, look for the amount size that you partitioned it as. Since ours was 117 gigabytes, look for something that's generally around that area. The top here, okay, first off, do not change this one. This is your bootloader, aka the grub. This is how you select the operating system you want to boot in. Do not delete this. Let's see, the second one down is normally going to be your recovery partition. Do not touch this. This one is splash top. You can kill this if you want. I don't know if your computer has it or not. Screw it. SATA 3, do not touch this. This is your Windows partition / main operating system. if you ever want to recover any of your files, and if you do not back up, do not choose this. You want to choose free space. Alright. Now, I'm going to show you something that sometimes happens. See, if you press install now, it's going to give you this. Do not be alarmed. All you have to do, press add, click under mount point, press the slash, press OK. Just basically do not touch anything else. Just click the partition, press install now. If you get that message, press add, and then do what I just did, adding that slash right here. Alright, if you know for sure you want to do this, and if you know everything's set up, press install now. It's going to give you one last warning. Let's do it. Now, some of the installations for Linux vary in events that happen during installation. Like, for example, right now it's asking me personal information like time zones and shit. I'm in Central Standard Time in the Quad Cities, so Chicago. Keyboard, you choose your keyboard for your country. User info, be right back. Okay, let's see, just to make sure it gets past the screen. Now, Linux generally does not take that much time to install. It depends on your it varies on different things you've done to your installation. Like, for example, the type of CD you use, the type of CD drive you have, the type of hard drive. It could be anything can vary. Plus the download rate of your internet connection, because this is probably downloading updates as we're speaking right now. So yeah, while this is happening, I'm going to pause the video and come back later when this is almost all done. Okay guys, I'm back after like 30 minutes or so. I'm playing a little bit of Skyrim. It's now time to restart your computer. So just press restart. Should be restarting any moment now. It's thinking. Damn, I love kettle chips. If it doesn't restart, oh, there it goes. If it doesn't restart right away, just go to the menu system and press restart. Excuse me. I am bored as fuck. It's shutting down. Don't worry, I'm not sure if that was normal or not. That's the first time I've seen it, but it was just saying that it was shutting down. It's probably trying to kill a couple of commands. Let's see, the network just went offline. Oh, it's about to eject the CD. There it goes. Alright, after removing the CD, close the thing, and press enter. Not the number key enter, but the enter. And then you will be greeted with a grub or a bootloader screen. Now, choosing between what to boot. Now, obviously, down here is Windows 7. Right here is the Windows recovery screen. Right here, I think, is your BIOS. This is previous versions of Linux. Like, if you upgraded your version of Linux 12 to 13, this would be 12. And then here is Linux Safe Mode, and then here's Linux Regular. You want to press Linux regular. And now it's booting. And then what I'm also going to do later, after I install Linux Mint and get all my personal crap on here, I'm going to show you the bread and butters of Linux. Codes that you should know by heart. It's still booting. It's faster than Windows, I can tell you that. And because this is a first boot, yeah. Now I'm going to turn over here and enter my password and shit. One thing I hate about every operating system is that number lock is never on. I hate it. Alright, now, here's that same splash screen that I mentioned earlier, this time a lot faster since it's loading off your hard drive. Yep, a lot faster. Alright, and that's it. That is the installation of a generic Linux operating system. This one in particular, Linux Mint 12 KDE edition. So this concludes this video. I hope this video helped a lot. I know a lot of new Linux users will enjoy this and have a wonderful day. But before I leave, I'm going to give you just a couple more tips. Just remember what you're doing. Do not be afraid, and just watch out what you're doing. That's basically all the tips I can give you. I know they suck, but really, just watch what you're doing. Alright, I'll see you guys later, and enjoy your free operating system that isn't Apple or Microsoft.